The Alpha Foxtrot S15, a 1911 style carry pistol that I won't say it's going to revolutionize the carry world, but for those of you who like to carry a 1911 compact but don't want to be limited to a single stack 8-round capacity for your 9mm, this is the answer. Stay with me. We're going to talk about it. We did shoot it. We'll show some of that footage and talk about some of the things I like and a couple of things that I think they still need to work on and actually probably are working on. Welcome to Rider's Range, while we take a look at the Alpha Foxtrot S15 subcompact 1911 9mm pistol. Now, why do they call it the S15? Right off the bat, it's because it takes the Shield Arms S15 magazine. What an idea! And we're going to get into weights, dimensions, and some comparables a little later in this video. But when I first heard about this gun, I was really excited about it, but a little bit skeptical. And how is an S15 magazine that, by the way, is designed for the Glock 43X and the Glock 48, how is that going to work out in a 1911? Well, I'll tell you, it works out amazingly well. Spoiler alert, so far I've got 420 rounds of a variety of ammunition through this particular gun on 2 trips to the range so far. I'm actually going to do a 1,000-round review on it. Alpha Foxtrot sent me the gun for testing and evaluation. I do have to send it back. They did not send me any ammunition, so that 1,000-round is on me, but spoiler alert again, I fired 420 rounds without one single failure, running the S15 mag and even running stock Glock 43 10-round mags. Go figure. So I want to get this out of the way to start with, and that is the grip angle. I have to wonder, initially I wondered why the S15 mag is going to work in a 1911, considering the grip angle on a Glock is about 22 degrees and the grip angle on a 1911 is only 18 degrees. Does that 4 degrees make a difference? And yeah, it obviously does not, because the grip angle is still going to be like a 1911 on this. At least that's how it feels. And when I measure it, it does still come out to about the same at about the 18 degree mark for the Glock. There we go, 18, as close as I can get it with this gauge. We're about 18 degrees, and again, it works just fine. So we're going to talk again more about that in just a minute. The gun came to me in this Alpha Foxtrot soft case, plenty of room for some magazines in here, good range bag. I'm not sure how they'll come out, how they'll be shipped when they finally are released to the public. Now, this is I won't say it's not really pre-production. This is serial number 63, so it's a very low production value number right now, and that means that there's likely to be a couple of bugs to work out. I was talking to Josh Wee, the marketing director for Alpha Foxtrot, and he said that after we discussed some of the issues that I had, I won't say issues, but some of the concerns I had that I'd like to see on this gun, he said those are already in the works, and the eventual production public models will have those. We're going to talk more about those in just a couple of minutes. So again, 15-round Shield magazine in a gun that, in fact, is, well, let's get what was my favorite carry gun here for a while, and that is my Wesson ECO. We are at about the same length. Of course, you can still see it's the same grip angle, and we're the same width. Now, this one may look a little fatter. We're going to put a mic on them here in just a minute, and from the top, there's even a lot of similarities. Actually, Alpha Foxtrot, parent company Dasan Manufacturing, has for about 30 years been making parts for some of the biggest production 1911 makers around, or biggest gun companies. So they're no stranger to it. They did just start making their own 1911 type pistols not too long ago. And this is going to be the evolution of that. We've already done a couple reviews on Alpha Foxtrot. We'll post links to those throughout this video. All right, so general comparisons. First thing I want to do is look at size. We mentioned well, we already showed the size on the comparison to the ECO. And again, there's some similarities when you look at the top. There's general similarities in almost a tri-top type of slide, and we'll go through all the specifics there in just a minute. But get the comparisons out of the way. My ECO does have thin starburst grips on it, and it is let's get that even, 1.145 in the width of the grip. The the S15, 1.060. So double stack, subcompact, thinner than a single stack that has thin grips on it. Somebody will say, well, wait a minute, doesn't Wilson make one of these? And yeah, I don't have the new Wilson SFX9. I've got the EDC X9, and the grip on this one is 1.346. It is a little slimmer on the solid frame one without the grip panels, but it's my understanding that you're still going to be about close to a 1.3 on the Wilson, whereas we're 1.06 and change on this. Now, when a lot of manufacturers will, or a lot of people will measure the overall width of the gun, and they'll measure the widest point, which in this case, of course, is the safety lever. But that's not what gets in the way of concealment. It's the grip width itself. Staccato, which does have a one-piece frame, the Staccato C, 1.067, so about the same, but again, single stack versus double. What about the Staccato C2? Again, double stack. Now this is 16 round mag instead of 15, and again a modular type frame, 1.290, 1 round extra in a much larger package. So the grip is longer, the grip is wider. Of course, the barrel's a hair longer. This is what, a 3.5 inch barrel on the S15 here. So since it's using S15 mags, how does it compare with a Glock 48, which, by the way, still takes the same S15 mags? Well, grip-wise, now this does have Talon grips on it, but it comes out to 1.086. Now it's going to be about the same when you take the Talons off of it as the S15 Alpha Foxtrot here. But again, they're about the same size gun, and you can see the grip angle on the Glock 48 is in fact still just a little bit steeper than it is on the Alpha Foxtrot. So even with the same mags, they're working just fine. Now, looking at it from the back, the Alpha Foxtrot appears to be wider, but a lot of that's deceiving because of the width of the Beavertail on that, which is one of my complaints, and we'll get to that here in just a couple of minutes. So size-wise, it's in my opinion a little tough to beat this. So, by the way, it's a forged steel slide, a forged aluminum frame. I believe it's a 7075 T6 aluminum, but there's also a steel insert in this for the rails, and again, that's an important feature I want to talk about here in just a minute. But when we look at the weights, the bare gun is 28.5 ounces, and if we add a 15 round magazine with 15 rounds, 147 grain 9mm in it, add one more for carry, we are at 38.4 ounces for the Alpha Foxtrot S15. We'll put the Wilson on it, which again has got a slightly longer barrel, and we're 36.6, same capacity. Of course, actually the Wilson mag, and this is a 15 round mag in the Wilson, so we're at 37.5, again 15 rounds, same ammunition. And we put the Staccato C2 on it. Now granted, it's got an optic on it, it's just a little bit heavier, and we add a 16 round mag, same ammunition, and we're now up to 38.4. Again, we back down to the Alpha Foxtrot, we're at 38.4. So the Alpha Foxtrot 15 rounds, no optic, is going to weigh the same as the Staccato C2 with 16 rounds and an optic, bearing in mind that the Staccato has a polymer frame, whereas the Alpha has an aluminum frame. And just for comparison, let's put the Glock 48 on here again. It's if you look at my review on this one with the Zafiri upper on it, it is lighter actually than stock. So we're 27.6 ounces now for the same capacity versus, again, 38.5. So there is a substantial difference, but that also changes in the recoil and the performance of the gun. So we get back to the old single stack, and that's my Dan Wesson ECO 8+1. We're at 32.6, again, just a hair lighter. All right, so much for sizes and weights. So we'll start, let's see, top to bottom. It does have a green insert. It's not a fiber optic insert, just a green high-vis type of dot in the front sight. I've been told these are Glock compatible. The rear sight anyway is Glock compatible. Obviously the front sight's not because it's dovetailed in there. It's on a tri-top slide. Does not have quite the same type of machining as the ECO did. It does have very light striations on the top, theoretically to cut down on glare. Front, forward, and rear, fairly aggressive cocking serrations. And one thing about this you don't see on too many guns this size is an adjustable rear sight. Now it's adjustable for elevation by adjusting that screw right there, and windage it's adjustable strictly by drift. 3-dot sight, again, a 3-dot sight system, and again it's got the green vials, or actually it's green paint I believe in the rear. Let's see, machine slide we mentioned. The fit to the slide and frame is very, very good. Not quite as good with the extractor. I've seen a couple other Alpha Foxtrots that are a little better fit on the extractor, so it's not quite polished off. But again, this is an early production model, and I'm sure that they're working on some of that stuff. Let's see, it does have a grip safety. That's the one thing that I like about the Alpha Foxtrot that you don't see on the Wilson SFX9s. Of course, the Wilson costs almost twice as much as this too. But the Wilson does not have a grip safety. Now, there are those who love grip safeties. However, there are also a lot of people who don't like grip safeties, and that's probably one reason why Wilson came out with their EDC and SFX type with no grip safety. Yet, Staccato still kept the grip safety on theirs. Let's see, this does use standard 1911 components. The trigger, the hammer, the takedown lever, all of those are standard 1911 type components. Does not have an ambidextrous safety on it, but this safety is positive, engaging and disengaging. It does stick out a little farther because the plunger tube on this is also sticking out a little bit from the frame, which is just a hair wider, the frame itself, than a single stack. But again, there's no grip panel, so it makes it overall smaller. Again, these slight protrusions on the left have absolutely no bearing on carrying, unless you're carrying tight appendix inside the waistband or something. Then the grip safety may push on you a little bit, but on the other hand, you should have a good holster that's going to cover that. But as far as normal concealed carry, it's really a concealable package. Let's see, we already mentioned the frame does come with a rail on it. I'm not a big rail fan, particularly on carry guns. I know that's the trend these days, and I did again check with Alpha and see if it's going to be a non-rail option, and they're not. They're only going to make the frame one way that's just going to have a rail on, so you're kind of stuck with that. Makes it a little challenging finding holsters. I did find my JM4 tactical holster for my CZP-01 just happened to work with this gun when I loosened it up just a little bit. So other than that, it may be a little more challenging to find holsters. It won't fit in a standard one unless you get a holster for a rail. Squared off at the front, and it does have a slightly reverse crown flush fit barrel here. We'll get to the guide rod here in just a minute. Let's see. Skeletonized trigger. When I first got this gun, before I even put any rounds to it, it was a heavy trigger, but it's clean. And again, the gun is unloaded. It's clean. It's crisp. There is no over travel. There is an over travel stop on it. I didn't have to adjust it. And the reset on this is short and to the point, and very, very tactile and even audible. There's just a little bit of up and down play, a little bit of play in general in the trigger. So it's not, again, it's not a Wilson, but on the other hand, for the price, I could live with a little bit of play. And you can see in the shooting, we're going to roll shooting footage throughout this as we go on, but you can see that it's working fine, close up, distance, anything else, so that the trigger has not been a problem. It's now down to just over 4 pounds, and again, that's after 420 rounds to it. Virtually no play, just a slightest hair of play there between the frame and the slide, but that's not the important part for accuracy. Barrel to slide lockup is what's important for accuracy, and this is locking up as solid as can be. And again, I'm hitting 6-inch plates at 50 yards with this, so accuracy is certainly there. Grip texture is good. You can't change the grips on this, so what it comes with is what it has. It does have some fairly aggressive checkering on the back strap, not going to show very well in the camera here, and also aggressive, fairly aggressive machine checkering on the front. Not really an undercut on the trigger guard, but again, I can still get a good high grip on it with no problem. Magazine release is positive, and again, works with the polymer Glock magazines as well as with the S15 mags, and relatively flush fit there. They say it's flush fit, but obviously the magazine base does stick out a little bit. And you can get extended mags for the Glock, so therefore the extended mags will also work in this one. No real magazine well. There is a slight bevel inside, but again, for carry, that's a compromise that one will generally make, where you aren't going to have the well at it. The Beavertail is quite wide, and I want to come to that in just a second. You can see, compared to the Beavertail on the ECO, which is much narrower, so you can get a better view of them here. And that's been actually one of my complaints on the gun. Shooting a traditional 1911 compact, Beavertail fits in there nice. I shoot with a real high grip, so my thumb's up on the grip. This narrower Beavertail on the ECO is not pushing into my thumb. However, when I shoot with a high grip on the S15, I'm getting a lot of pressure right here. Now I feel it when I'm holding the gun and when I'm gripping the gun, but after 420 rounds, that was over 2 range sessions. Yesterday was 235 rounds, 245 rounds that I shot through it yesterday, and all of that with a high grip, and I don't have any bruising or discomfort right here on my thumb joint. Although it would be nice if they would, in the future models, if they would narrow that, and then they'd have to blend this in just a little bit more so that I don't get that pressure right there. But again, it's not a deal breaker, works fine. It'd also be nice if they would melt the slide a little bit, but again, it's a carry gun, so a little more melting would help, although the only issue up here is not concealment or drawing. It's only in reholstering, where it's squared off. Still squared off even on the ECO, and even squared off on my Staccato, and even squared off, just a slight rounding here on the Wilson EDC X9, a little bit more rounding back here on the Wilson. But it'd be nice if they just melt that off just a little bit, and particularly in the back. My biggest complaint about the actual design, and again, it's my understanding that in production models they're going to make these changes that I'm already talking about, but my biggest complaint, and I did talk to Josh about this even before I got this gun, was a slight rounding of the heel on the mainspring housing, and that's where it fits into the hand, and just that little bit of rounding does two things. Number one, it does help fit in the hand just a little bit better, and number two, it does help for concealment. So again, I've got a lot of rounds to it, not a big deal, but if they would round this off just a little bit, it definitely helps with concealment instead of having that straight cut mainspring housing. So it's not a real bobtail, just rounding. I understand that is going to be in the works. Alright, so a couple other things that I've got to show you on the inside of this gun, but we're not going to, well, sure, we'll take it down on camera here. It comes down like your compact 1911s. I've got a little, this is actually off of a Kimber, that I slip over the guide rod here in front. We'll show you the two-piece guide rod in a minute. Let the slide forward a little bit, and it does come out fairly easily. And again, I don't know if you can see it well in the camera, but there is a steel insert here. And notice that the rails are not full length. And again, this is something Wilson did with theirs. And you have just shortened rails front and back. That definitely makes the gun less prone to any kind of fouling. There's just that much less to fit on it, although again, the fit has to be precision between the front and the rear. But it works really, really well. Two-piece guide rod. I think I'm messing up my my table here. Two-piece captured guide rod. We're going to keep that together for now. And the barrel comes out like any other. It is a bull barrel. There's no bushing on it, and it is ramped, and you can see it's also very, very dirty from a whole lot of shooting. I have not cleaned this gun yet. I did lubricate it. In fact, I lubricated it before the first shots, but you can see it does have a ramped barrel on it, and typical dual locking lugs, and basically your typical compact 1911. Comes apart like one, goes back together like one. And again, standard 1911 parts. And get that out of there, and there we go. All back together and running. And a very, very nice carry package. Once you get the heel of the mainspring housing, or the grip rounded just a little bit, and a little bit of melt treatment, narrow down that beaver tail, this is going to be a phenomenal carry gun. Again, it's I won't say it's a poor man's Wilson SFX9, but the whole solid frame design is nice, and the ability to take the Shield S15 mags. How do you beat that? Not only comes with one of them, but again, these are available all over the place. If you got a Glock 48 or 43X, you got potentially got mags that are going to work in this. So my first take on the Alpha Foxtrot 1911 S15 with S15 15-round magazines is absolutely positive. The Gen 2 that should be coming out in the not too distant future should have those modifications that I mentioned, and is going to make this a yeah, it's hard to get excited when I've tested so many guns. It's hard to get excited about something new. Man, I'm excited about this. For a carry gun, this is going to be the cat's meow. The only thing I wish is they'd eliminate the rail, take down a little bit of weight, make it more holster friendly for a variety of holsters. But again, the public is crying out for rail so you can hang your lights, your laser, your lunchbox, or whatever from it. For a concealed carry gun, for civilians, no thanks. But again, that's just my opinion. Not a whole lot of billboarding on it. I just want to keep talking about this gun because I am definitely impressed with it. Alpha Foxtrot S15, and again, shoots everything that I need to once I got the sight adjusted for it. And a 1,000-round review coming up in the not too distant future. Oh, and the other thing that I forgot to mention is that I understand the Gen 2 model is also going to come with an optics cut. I'm really anxious to see that. And again, I'm still debating about optics for carry or not. I've done both ways. So stay tuned for the Gen 2, but also stay tuned for the 1,000-round review on this gun. And again, I really do like this for a carry gun. Wow. Thanks for sticking with me this long while we're looking at the Alpha Foxtrot S15. Get the right magazine out here. 9mm 1911 style pistol.